bit which kind of frustrates me is he knew the players that we had last season. And I think that the plan was probably during the summer that he would see certain players be moved on out of the club. And that didn't happen. And so he has been sort of lumbered with a group of players. And I'm sure Atkins was probably thinking some of the players, I'd say Walker, Lewis, McAleer, they'd have been moved on. Probably Hemmings earlier in the summer as well. And the fact is that, Hemmings went last day of the transfer window. Some of those midfielders we've still got, and we've got them for the remainder of the season. So a lot of the budget that we've got it's been wasted. But Dawes, when he took the job on, he knew the players he had. And again, at the start of the summer, then, if there was the risk of we were going to have, the likes of Walker, Lewis still in the side, why would you re-sign Merry? Because he's no different to what we had. Also getting Hendry in, he is a decent footballer. But in the midfield we had last season, he wasn't really effective. And it is Groundhog Day. So, Mellon used to talk about the budget and it's a well-run club. But as a club, we do seem very good at wasting our resources, when it comes to budget on players who won't offer us anything in the season. And I think that's where we are yet again.
You mentioned all those midfielders, none of them leaving on deadline day. I know McAleer got some minutes yesterday against Wrexham, but if you look at the amount of centre midfielders that Tranmere have on their books, it's just ridiculous considering how many of them actually play of a Saturday as well, maybe two at most, because they're trying to, in some way, shape or form, shoehorn Morris, Jennings and Hawkes into the same starting 11, which I don't see as being able to work. And I've said this a few times. They've got three players there who should all be playing in the same position. So how you quite work that, I'm not sure. But either way, that imbalance in midfield is something else. And it says something if you're not able to shift those players to other league clubs before the deadline comes, I think. Let's go back to a few things from the Wrexham game anyway, before we come back to a little bit more of the future. A disappointing game, but once again, I think as well, important to mention that a big crowd turned up, an expectant crowd, hoping to see a good football match, and Tranmere completely underwhelmed on home soil once more.
Yeah, I think this has been talked about many times, Matt. Whenever the people turn up, the Tranmere performance, it doesn't happen, does it? And it's normally quite painful. But it just shows, though, that the interest's there, with the locals, that if we were to have a decent football inside, people will turn up. At the minute, obviously it's premium prices for League Two. The highest season ticket price as well in the league. So you can feel the frustration that people have when they look at what's being presented on the pitch. But yeah, as I know you've mentioned lots of times before, Matt, when the people turn up, Tranmere don't.
I looked it up yesterday. The stat is utterly remarkable. Tranmere haven't won a regular league fixture, so this is excluding playoff games, a regular league fixture in front of a crowd of more than 9,000 people since they beat Sheffield Wednesday 4-2 in August 2004. That's the season they went on to make the playoffs. And I know people will say, well, they haven't had too many crowds of 9,000 plus. Well, you're right, they haven't. But they have had several.
Yeah.
And generally speaking, when those crowds come in, Tranmere put in an underwhelming performance of high proportions.
Yeah, I think I remember that Sheffield Wednesday game. That was when I was actually at. But also, I think Ebbsfleet, in the playoffs, I know it was probably 2-2 at the full time, but I think that was a decent turnout that day.
It was. So when I say regular league fixtures, playoffs are not counted in regular league fixtures. So there have been a few playoff wins. Hartlepool, for example, and Ebbsfleet both had, I think, 5 figures. But other than that, there's the Watford Cup win in front of 5 figures, I think, as well. But other than that, they've been low.
Yeah, but just when it comes to the league games, we appear to bottle it as soon as the people turn up. Whether it's that pressure, I don't know. But obviously, go back to when I was sort of younger and going on the Friday nights when 8,000-9,000, good crowds were irregular, and Prenton Park was a fortress. But Prenton Park hasn't been a fortress for many, many years. It's a place where the opposition seem to come to, and it's fairly easy to leave with a point or 3 points these days.